It all began with a late-night YouTube binge. I had always been a fan of horror stories. I was sitting in the dimly lit confines of my room, bathed in the glow of my mobile screen. It was already midnight, and I had nothing better to do than to lose myself in the world of online horrors. That's when I stumbled upon a video titled Highway to the Unknown. It read, "A chilling tale of a nightmarish encounter on a desolate highway," uploaded by a YouTuber named 0 subscribers and 0 views. Intrigued, I clicked play. As the video unfolded, I found myself drawn into the story. It was about a paranormal activity that had occurred on a highway in the dead of night. The victim and his friend had been driving, fatigue weighing heavy on their eyelids, when they began to see a mysterious figure by the roadside. This unsettling figure would appear out of nowhere, and each time they passed it, it seemed to inch closer to the car. The victim sat in the passenger seat, paralyzed by fear, while his friend drove. As the minutes dragged on, fatigue claimed the friend, and he asked the victim to take the wheel. Reluctantly, they switched seats, and it wasn't long before the victim encountered the haunting figure once more. This time, it stood right in the middle of the highway. In a desperate attempt to avoid a collision, the victim swerved, crashing into a divider. The video ended with a bone-chilling revelation. The victim did not survive. I was surprised to find such a great story from a YouTuber with no subscribers, so I subscribed to the channel to show my support. The next day was Friday, and the prospect of a small party with my coworkers buoyed my spirits. It was a welcome break from my solitary obsession with the paranormal. With plans made, I decided to let loose and join the festivities. The party was held at the house of one of my coworkers, a place I had been to a few times before. To get there, I summoned an Uber. We partied well into the night, laughter and chatter filling the air. As the night deepened, nearing midnight, it was time for us to bid adieu and return home. One of my coworkers, John, offered to give me a ride home. It seemed convenient, as both of us were headed in the same direction. As we merged onto the highway, John's casual conversation began to mirror the tale I had watched on the YouTube video. The memory of that video resurfaced, and with it, the uncanny parallels between its narrative and the events that were unfolding in real life. The joke about a lone figure on the side of the road, the eerily vacant highway at this late hour, they all played out like a twisted déjà vu. I nodded along, unable to shake the sense of déjà vu. What were the odds of experiencing something so similar to the video? My unease grew as the miles passed by, and my grip on the armrest tightened. Minutes turned into an eternity as we drove on that dark and desolate highway. The tension in the car was palpable, but I dared not utter a word about the video. What if I was reading too much into it? What if it was just a bizarre coincidence? And then, it happened. As if on cue, there he was. A figure standing by the side of the road, bathed in the cold, eerie glow of the moonlight. I could hardly breathe. John laughed nervously, seemingly oblivious to my terror. "What do you think he's doing out here?" he mused. I tried to respond, but my voice failed me. The man was closer this time, and I could make out his features, or rather, the lack thereof. His face was hidden in darkness, and a creeping dread settled over me. John, oblivious to my inner turmoil, continued chatting as though nothing were amiss. I mean, who would be out here in the middle of the night? As the seconds ticked by, my fear intensified. I knew I had to do something, but what could I say without sounding insane? My heart pounded in my chest, and my palms grew clammy. It was then that John, feeling the weight of fatigue, decided he needed a coffee break before he could drive again. He turned to me with an almost casual request. "Hey, mind taking over the wheel for a bit? I could use a coffee to wake me up." Terrified, I wanted to decline, to scream about the bizarre connection to the video, but the words caught in my throat. I couldn't possibly explain my unease without sounding like a lunatic. The only thing I could do was nod in reluctant agreement. As I took the driver's seat, my mind raced. I promised myself that if I saw that man in the road again, I would not swerve to avoid him. I would run him over, consequences be damned. But as the terror continued to grip me, I found it increasingly difficult to concentrate on the road. I was driving far slower than the other vehicles, my grip on the steering wheel trembling. John noticed and asked, "Is everything okay? You're driving pretty slow." Panicking, I fumbled for an excuse. "I've never driven a stick shift before," I stammered, my voice quivering. It was a lie, but it was the best I could come up with on the spot. John nodded, seemingly satisfied with my explanation, but I could see the confusion in his eyes. Nevertheless, we continued on the highway, my dread growing with each passing mile. Finally, I couldn't bear it any longer. I needed to get off that highway, away from the specter that seemed to haunt me. With a shaky voice, I suggested, "Hey, there's a rest area up ahead. How about we pull over there? I'm really not feeling well." John agreed, and we veered off the highway, coming to a stop at the rest area. I had hoped for a reprieve, a chance to catch my breath and steady my nerves. John, now refreshed, took over the driver's seat once more. As we resumed our journey, I couldn't help but wonder if the encounter with the mysterious figure had been averted. Perhaps it was all a product of my overactive imagination, fueled by that unsettling video. Soon, we reached a cafe, and John pulled in. "I need some coffee to keep me awake," he announced. He left the car, leaving me alone with my thoughts and fears. As I sat there waiting for John to return, I couldn't help but reflect on the events of that night. Had I narrowly escaped a grim fate, or was it all just a series of strange coincidences? Eventually, John returned with a cup of coffee, and we resumed our journey home. Once I reached home safely, driven by a mixture of curiosity and dread, I decided to revisit the video that had started it all. I logged into my YouTube account, my fingers trembling slightly as I typed in the search bar, "Highway to the Unknown." But to my astonishment, the search yielded no matching results. It was as if the video had vanished from existence. Frantic, I tried various combinations of keywords, hoping to stumble upon the elusive video once more. Yet, no matter how I phrased my search, the results remained frustratingly empty. It was as if the video had never existed, as if it had been wiped clean from the vast expanse of the internet. Desperation gave way to frustration, and I began to sift through my subscription list, hoping to find the channel where I had discovered the video. But that too proved to be a futile endeavor. The channel with 0 subscribers and 0 views was nowhere to be found. I couldn't understand how a video that had left such a profound impact on me could simply vanish. It was as if the digital realm had swallowed it whole, erasing any trace of its existence. I scoured online forums and discussion boards, hoping that someone else had come across the same video, that I wasn't alone in my experience, but there was no mention of it anywhere. In the end, I was left with more questions than answers. Had the video been a mere figment of my imagination? Or had it been a warning, a message from some unknown source? The uncertainty gnawed at me, leaving me with a sense of unease that refused to dissipate. If you find this content entertaining, please consider giving it a thumbs up by clicking the like button below. It really helps support the channel. And if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update from us. Thanks so much for being a part of our YouTube community here.